Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kevin, and here at The Rational Eater, I am making eating disorder recovery simple. And if you want to overcome binge eating or bulimia, then check out my links in the box below. Today I am doing an article review because I haven't done an article review in forever. I can't remember the last time I did one. But this article is from the Huffington Post. It was published late last year. It's called 10 Signs of a Bad Relationship with Food and How to Fix It. I'm going to start at the top. There's 10 points here. Disordered eating is sneakier than you think. A lot of times we confuse disordered eating for virtue and self-discipline. Oh, you're so disciplined. Oh, you've lost a lot of weight. Oh, you look so good. Oh, how do you deny yourself? Like, self-denial is almost this thing to be celebrated. But you don't want to be at Thanksgiving and be the person who is eating salad. That's not healthy. There is room in your post-recovery diet for fun and entertainment. It just needs to be 10% of the time. You should have fun at Thanksgiving. You should have the birthday cake at the birthday party. I mean, you don't have to. Sometimes I don't. But don't be the person who's nibbling on carrots and not eating anything while everybody else is enjoying something. Don't make other people uncomfortable. Don't be weird. Don't be disordered. There are times and places when your diet and your macros should not be the #1 thing. If you're in recovery, however, you need to be a little more diligent about that. You need to make some tough choices. You need to make your recovery the #1 thing. As you progress, the longer you go without an episode, the more leeway you can have in your life. But anyway, I'm glad that she brought that up. What may seem healthy might actually be problematic behavior. It's also why you should never tell somebody or comment on what somebody else is eating. It's just rude. I don't like that. I didn't like it when I was orthorexic. I didn't like it when I was a binge eater. I don't like it now. I don't like it when people comment on things. If you see somebody eating a salad or they have like a weird food combination, just let it be. Okay, you're not going to make anything better. Anyway, she talks about diet culture. Now, diet culture is ill-defined. The way I describe it is an unhealthy fixation and obsession with a low body weight. It's irrational. It has nothing to do with health. It has everything to do with aesthetics and appearance and self-worth. You do not need to weigh a certain number to be healthy. And a lot of times that number is unrealistic. And if you have to go to great lengths to achieve it, you probably shouldn't be at that weight. Anyway, that's my definition of diet culture. It is a system of beliefs. It is a system of thoughts that you have. It is an obsession. But it's not TikTok, like she describes it here. It's not diet magazines. It's the beliefs that are behind that. And really, how many people are looking at magazines these days? Now, how many people who are on TikTok regularly read print magazines? I don't know how many, but magazines are a dying medium. Anyway, teenage wellness influencers. Listen, teenage wellness influencers, I can't believe we even pay attention to teenage wellness influencers, whatever that is. I don't think we should take them seriously. Should we say that diet culture is everywhere because we have teenagers on TikTok spewing out really bad diet advice? Probably not. What is worse, it's often praised as health conscious or virtuous. Sometimes. But who is saying you should eat nothing but salads? Who's saying that you should starve yourself? The only people who do that are people who take things too far. I don't know any influencer who is actively promoting a really unhealthy diet, like a really abstemious, stringent diet. Some people say that when you go on Noom, they tell you to only eat 1,200 calories. That's a problem. Okay, 1,200 calories, maybe for a week, that's okay. Most people are going to need more than that. But I don't know any serious influencer who says that you should starve yourself or go on some restrictive diet. Nobody's arguing that. Depriving your body of the food it wants and needs is anything but healthy. Just because you've normalized things like chewing gum to avoid eating or weighing your food and logging into an app, none of which are disordered, by the way. They can be signs of them, but none of them per se are disordered. I still weigh things once in a while. I have a really good food scale. It's digital, grams, ounces, milliliters, whatever. Logging it into an app, yes, that can become an obsession. Some people like to track things. Tracking things is not necessarily disordered. It doesn't mean those things are actually good for us. No, they're not. It's fair to say that silly diet tricks are pushing on us all the time. True. You know, stuff like, if you're hungry, drink water. Oh, come on. How many people confuse thirst for hunger? They're two totally different physiological sensations. All right, let's get to the first one. You focus on clean eating. There's nothing inherently wrong about clean eating. It just seems really religious to me. Like, what is clean, what is not? Some people think organic is clean, conventional is not. Okay, then that's not disordered. Some people only eat single ingredient food. Some people only eat things that are on an approved list. Whatever. As long as you are getting enough macro and micronutrients, I don't see the problem with that. Obviously, it can become its own obsession. It's not necessarily disordered. If you truly believe that those foods with pesticides are really harmful, then that's not really disordered. It's just that's your calculation. That's your decision. It becomes a problem when you obsessively scan the ingredients, when you obsessively scan the menu, when you think that one bite of bad food will kill you. It can become an obsession. Remember, disordered is a degree. It's not yes or no. Logging your stuff into a food app per se is not disordered. It's how often you do it, how meticulous you are about it, how seriously you take it. Clean eating draws an arbitrary line in the sand between what you can eat and what you can't eat. Think of the way clean eating advocates demonize Kit Kat bars, but promote chocolate bars with organic cocoa. I don't know anybody who does that, honestly. Most people who understand nutrition know that a lot of these treats that you find at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and other high-end grocery stores are not necessarily healthier just because they're organic. Marketers do that all the time. They put the word organic, or they put protein on the box, or they put vitamins on the box to make something look healthier than it actually is. It's called healthifying a food. The truth is, clean eating is a way to restrict food without much scientific rhyme or reason. It can be. It's just like veganism. Not everybody who goes vegan is disordered. Some people have really good intentions when they go vegan, others don't. Some people, they do it as a way to restrict what they eat. Because when you go vegan, it makes it harder to consume a regular diet. Like, you go to a restaurant, all you can eat is the salad. Now you can't eat most of the products. It makes it easier to restrict, and that's why a lot of people do it, but not necessarily. Not every vegan is disordered. Number 2, you avoid all the foods you actually want when you go out to eat. The thing is, sometimes you have to say no to the things you want and say yes to the things that you need. For example, if I go to the Cheesecake Factory, I want the cashew chicken. Cashew chicken is amazing, it's good, but I know what's in it, so I have the shrimp tacos. Are shrimp tacos what I really, really want? No, but I have to cut a deal. I have to feed myself somehow, but I also don't want to pummel my body with a ton of sugar and what else is in that sauce. I don't know, and who knows how much oil is in that cashew chicken. So I go there, I have a good time, I have the shrimp tacos, which aren't bad. It's ultimately not what I want. Again, you have to cut deals sometimes. You have to cut a deal between present pleasure and future reward. And it depends on where you are. If you don't have any eating disorders, you're at a healthy weight, you can probably take more chances. If you are coming out of years and years of bulimia or binge eating, you probably shouldn't take those chances, at least not for now. Number 3, you refuse to eat food outside your home altogether. Yes and no. Most of the time, this is true. If you are avoiding social events because you are afraid that you will overeat something or you can't control yourself, that is a problem. If you're in the recovery process, not so much. I advise people to minimize social events only during that recovery process. And the reason I say that is because you want to have as much consistency as you possibly can. Don't refuse to go to Christmas, go to your holidays, go to the essential events, but if there's some event that you don't want to go to, don't go. There will be more social events in the future. So no, I'm not promoting disordered eating when I say that. It's just there is a time and place for that. And when you're in that recovery period, 90, 120 days, you have to make different decisions. Once you're outside of that, then you can go out a little more. You can go out whenever you want, actually. But a lot of people, like orthorexics especially, anorexics especially, they avoid social events simply because of that. They don't know what's on the menu and they don't know what's going to be there, and so they stay at home. It's a very isolating thing because you're so obsessed with your own health and you put that above social events. I've known people who don't eat anything when they go out. Like they go out, they just don't order anything, which is not cool. Number 4, you stress out about eating something that's not part of your plan. One sign of disordered eating is your mindset. Like, do you get anxiety? Do you think about what you just ate? Do you try to calculate things? Do you try to assess the damage? Do you save up calories? You know, have you ever done that? You save up calories. Or do you try to compensate later? If you feel like you've had too much, do you compensate later? Do you like fast the next day? That's pretty common. During recovery, you don't have a lot of flexibility. As you move through recovery, you have more and more flexibility. So don't stress out about it. You have more leeway. And many times you have to accept second best options, meaning you're not always going to have a super healthy meal everywhere you go. Unless you want to live in your kitchen and cook all your meals for the rest of your life, you're going to have to settle for second best options. I'm going to a wedding in a few months. There aren't a lot of good options there. I'll be on an airplane in a few weeks. Not a lot of good options at the airport. Sometimes when you go out, there are no good options. It's part of life. And it's almost like germaphobes. They never leave their house, but they don't live a good life. They don't have any experiences. And if you want to have good experiences, you have to expose yourself to a little bit of danger at some point. For example, driving. You know, you could never get into a car. Okay, you'll never get into a car accident, but your mobility is going to be severely restricted. It's not right or wrong. It's just what chances are you willing to take. 5, you're strict about portion control. The idea of proper portion size is a popular one. Everybody's portion sizes are different. This is where you need a little bit of experimentation, like what's right for you. Portion control isn't necessarily bad, especially if you're eating mindlessly. I think portion control can be a really good thing. If you don't know what portions are, you should probably learn them. If you're eating high calorie stuff, you should understand what a proper portion is. Deciding how much to eat based on an appropriate portion or external measurement rather than listening to the body's needs can be a sign of disordered eating, possibly. Again, this takes a little bit of experimentation. You know your body best. I know I don't need a giant piece of wedding cake. I don't need wedding cake at all. Like how much can I get and still get the sensation? And the thing is, when it comes to really tasty things, you can have less than you initially want and still have the experience. The first and last bite are the best anyway. Do you need a giant piece of cake to enjoy the cake, or can you have 2 or 3 bites, taste it, and then move on? Some people will probably think that's disordered. Oh, you're teaching people only have 2 or 3 bites. No, it's all about balance. It's like what do you want to experience versus what consequences do you want to have? Portion control is not necessarily a bad thing. But most people probably don't know enough about proper portions. Like, if you just eat stuff out of a bag, you need to exercise portion control, okay? The entire bag is not a portion. Portion is like a fourth of it. Number 6, you think of foods as good and bad. Let's see, a dietitian, she says, a healthy approach to nutrition allows for flexibility. Exactly. There are no good and bad foods. There are just some foods you should consume in larger quantities and some foods you should consume in smaller quantities. Foods that have a lot of flour, sugar, and oil should be consumed in very small portions, enough to experience it. Foods like broccoli and bok choy and soups and beans and fish, those should be consumed in larger quantities, right? Is that unreasonable? There are more preferred foods, there are less preferred foods. That's the way I see it. 7, you have feelings of guilt around food. You should never feel guilty around food. If you didn't get the result that you wanted, reassess. Why did you not get the result, and do it again next time? That's all you can do. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. You should only feel guilty when you feel like you've done something wrong. But when you have all of these rigid rules and you see these rules as laws, that's when it's a problem. This moralization of food often extends to the person doing the classifying, so that they start to feel that they are good or bad based on what they eat. Listen, eating is not moral, at least most of the time. Don't turn these into laws. Okay, you should have principles and guidelines and follow those principles and guidelines as best as you can. 8, you exercise to earn food. Yeah, don't do that. Exercise as if you didn't burn any calories. You got all the other benefits of exercise, but you didn't burn any extra calories. Would you still exercise? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, check your mindset. You shouldn't be exercising just to burn more calories. It might help with weight loss. It definitely helps with weight maintenance. That's for sure. That's what the research shows. It doesn't really help you lose the weight. It helps you keep it off. So if you're only using diet to maintain the weight, it's going to be really hard. But if you exercise and you have a healthy metabolism and you've got lean body mass and you burn more at rest than you normally would, that's a great thing. It's especially true after losing weight. You know, your metabolic rate goes down and then you burn less. But if you're exercising, exercise can attenuate the loss of metabolic rate. Okay, it serves as a buffer. But you should never do it to earn food, and you shouldn't do it to compensate either. That's what bulimia is. You're constantly compensating, and you're not doing it because you really think you will compensate for the weight gain. You're doing it because you feel like you need to do it. You need to do something. It provides that psychological comfort. Well, at least I went on the treadmill for 2 hours. Number 9, you give weight-based compliments. This is part of our culture. And I think it's part of most cultures. It's not just Western society either. It's Asian culture, it's Latin culture. Most places are going to comment on changes in the body. Deal with it. It's not going away. All you can do is not make the compliments yourself. If you've noticed that somebody's gained or lost weight, it is what it is. Don't comment on it. Question is it disordered? I don't think so. We often think it's normal to tell someone that they look great and ask if they lost weight or to compliment somebody else's weight loss. Really though, it's inappropriate. Yes, it is. For starters, someone might have lost weight due to an illness, an eating disorder, a whole host of reasons. Exactly. You don't know why somebody lost weight. They could have done it the right way. They could have done it the wrong way. You don't know. So just don't say anything. And if somebody says something to you, just deflect the conversation. Find some way to talk about something else. Do not continue the conversation. That preoccupation with the body above all else is usually a sign that somebody is having a messed up relationship with food. Yes. And that's what diet culture is. It's not really a culture, it's a mindset. It is a preoccupation and obsession with a low body weight. 10, you have designated cheat meals or days. Not necessarily. This one, a lot of bodybuilders do this. You know, they have refeed days, or they eat normally for a week and then they cut for a week and then they kind of alternate. And there is some research that shows that people who do that maintain their metabolic rate. They don't lose their resting metabolic rate. So there is some research on that. That's a different video. But cheat days and meals, bodybuilders, athletes, they do this all the time. Sometimes your diet just gets really boring, monotonous. And having a regular cheat day where you have foods like pizza and ice cream and cookies, it can break that monotony. Now, you can overdo it. You can have a binge and then you've erased 3 or 4 days of progress. Don't do that. But having one day every 10 or 14 days, I guess, whatever you can tolerate, where you can just eat what you want and you don't have to worry about macros, this can be a really good break for your brain. On the other hand, I don't like the word cheat. It sounds naughty. Is there another word that we could use? Like relaxation day, on a vacation day? I don't know. The word cheat, it almost sounds like you're doing something wrong. You know, cheating is never a good thing. It's like you're getting cheat codes or you're looking at somebody's answers on a test. But I like the idea of having one day, once in a while, where you can just eat what you want within limits. I mean, don't go crazy. It can be a nice way to break monotony. During recovery, no. Don't have a cheat day during recovery, especially if you're binge eating, bulimic. Like you need a time where you're eating very good and you're consistent and your diet is pretty boring. 90 days, that's a good rule of thumb. For some people, it might even be longer than that. Whatever, it's not forever. And finally, some concluding remarks. Someone who has a healthy relationship with food can be flexible in what they eat. Yes, flexibility and not feeling guilty about it, that is a sign of recovery. Again, the longer you go in recovery, the more your flexibility increases. If you're at day 1, you don't have a lot of flexibility, unfortunately. You've had too much flexibility. Mills describes this as the willingness and ability to be spontaneous. Correct. I like spontaneous. You can be spontaneous. You see something, you like it, you eat it, you move on, and you don't feel guilty about it. Another good hallmark sign of recovery. Healthy approach to health and well-being comes when you approach nutrition from a place of self-care rather than self-control. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, those are the main points here. I'll put a link in the box below. Those are the 10 signs that you have a bad relationship with food, according to the Huffington Post, or at least this author. What are some other signs that you have a bad relationship with food? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you found this video educational and entertaining. If you liked this video, then check out some of my other videos that you see on the screen. Click one of them and I'll see you there. And as always, eat the way you're designed to.